Welcome to stage 5 of the tour of Switzerland, the first of 4 mountainous stages to determine the final destination of the leader's yellow jersey. And here is the current wearer of that yellow jersey, Jan Ullrich, and he will face his stiffest test since pulling that jersey on a couple of stages ago. So we're on to a category 3 climb, but it gets much worse after this. A big category 1 climb, and then a short uphill sprint finish to cap things off. So it's on a pure mountaintop finish. It sort of goes up and lurches up and down a bit in the final 20 kilometers, but a big test for the climbers regardless. So we get an attack at the front from Jesper Skibby of Zulu, presumably for the King of the Mountains points, and he's taken a handful of those. He's not really one of the great climbers though. I don't think this is an ambitious attack, and you can see he's already set up and he'll get swallowed up by the field. But he's up in 3rd place in the virtual KOM jersey. Here's a look at Marco Pantani, one of the favorites for today. Since it's not a real mountaintop finish and that it just goes uphill all the way to the line, not his ideal sort of terrain, but should still be up there regardless of who's around him. We're heading out to an intermediate sprint point. In the points, classification leader Urs Feuler is still in this peloton, so we'll see if he goes for those points. Probably needs to collect a few more to ensure his victory in that classification. Bit of a surprise to see Pereira already dropped. His team is chasing him back on. Cyril Guimard is in that group too. So expending valuable energy just before the big mountain. And you won't recover in a situation like that. Meanwhile, Feuler, he went out and took the points, so he extends his lead in that classification. Depending on who's winning the stages over the next 4 days, he might be able to hold that all the way to the finish. We're on to the big mountain, and it's the leftovers led by Patrice Haugon setting the pace. They have a couple of decent climbers in this race. I believe Roberto Laiseca is the main man for the team. And now La Viclaire with Federico Esquerra. Their star rider Gösta Petersen, who's done nothing outside of a good ride on the stage 1 time trial, so he's sat in the wheels. But now is the time for him to get in position to make his assault on the race leader's jersey. Looks like Evian, happy to do some of the pacemaking as well. Their leader Andy Schleck lost over 40 seconds to his biggest rivals, so he's got some work to do to make that up. Mark Madio in 5th place overall, being sacrificed for his team. And it looks like we have our first attack. It's Marco Pantani. So a long way from the finish, but Pantani looking to put the rest of the race under pressure. As Kara started the chase back, but he's cracked. And now it falls on Frank Schleck. Super domestique for Bjarne Riis on Kelme to do the work himself. Setting a very hard tempo, and this peloton very quickly shattering into pieces. Pantani's brought back. Pereira goes to the front for Andy Schleck. And you can see the devastation unfolding behind. Lots of riders getting dropped. And Jan Ullrich struggling to hang on, but he's still there about. But Åkers has launched a move. He's taken Schleck with him. I reckon that's Gösta Petersen, who's in that next pair of riders. It is, and Pantani as well. So these 4 have gone away from the race. They go up and over this summit. No points here, those come a little bit later. A short steep descent, and then they start the next incline up to the King of the Mountains point. That was Bjarne Riis trying to get back on terms. Andrew Hampsten as well. And then there's the group of the yellow jersey of Jan Ullrich and his teammate Gert-Jan Tønnesen to help him get back in the race. So Jan Ullrich is around a minute or a little bit more than that behind this group of 5 riders. Now we're on to the second part of the climb. 6 kilometers to go until the King of the Mountains point. They will get a little bit of a reprieve around the halfway point on this ascent. But it's Schleck, Petersen, Riis, Åkers, and Pantani. and this other group behind has formed around the yellow jersey of Ulrich. Pantani's going to go again. These great little climbers can accelerate over and over and over again. It's up to the other riders to just ride their own tempo and bring them back, and that's exactly what Ockers is doing, measuring his effort to bring back Marco Pantani. We're on to a short flatter section, which should benefit Ockers. But this is the style of Marco Pantani: attack, attack, and attack, and eventually the rest will fall away. But the chasers working well together, and as Pantani is caught, another goes out the front. This time it's Gösta Petersen of La Vie Claire. Andy Schleck's trying to go with him, but these riders starting to get very tired. And it seems they're so equal on ability today that not one can get clean away from the other. So less than a kilometer to go until the King of the Mountains checkpoint. I'd hardly say there's a gap between these two groups of riders because they're so close together, but it's Petersen who's leading them over the climb, so he will take maximum points, followed by Andy Schleck and then Marco Pantani. Under 4Ks to go, we have this steep descent and then the uphill sprint to the line. The group of Jan Ulrich is now a minute 46 behind, which isn't so bad. Could be a lot worse in terms of the time loss. But Ulrich's without Tunice. And now in the last kilometer, it's going to be a sprint to the line. Andy Schleck in good position. He's won like this before. Watch out for Bjarne Riis in the back, but I don't think he'll get around them. Andy Schleck's going to take another stage win. His third victory of the season. And it's only a small time bonus over his big rivals, but making at least some headway into his deficit going into the stage. Stan Ockers will get second place, Gösta Petersen third, Pantani fourth, and Riis in fifth place. The next group on the road, led by Henri Anglade, who was in second place to start the day, but not anymore. 1 minute and 47 seconds back, along with Choman Peruena and Andrew Hampston. Jan Ulrich losing more than 2 minutes, so he will be out of the race leader's jersey. And his teammate Tunice, who worked hard for him today. So Zulu's general classification ambitions taking a bit of a hit. In this larger group, including Frank Schleck and Henny Kuiper. Surprised to see Tommy Pren down here, but they've lost over 4 minutes today. So the first real sort out of the Tour of Switzerland seems that 5 of the top climbers have separated themselves from everybody else. I reckon tomorrow's stage won't cause too much separation between them, but the stage 7 time trial, which goes up and over a big mountain, that could end up being pretty decisive. But it's Andy Schleck who's so good on these sort of finishes, collecting another stage win for Evian. So there you have it, Andy Schleck, Stan Ockers, Gösta Petersen, Marco Pantani, and Bjarne Riis. They were in a class of their own today, finishing at least 147 ahead of everybody else. Jan Ulrich lost 218, but it could have been a lot worse today. He's definitely not out of a top 10 finish, especially with a time trial coming up. Could have a big day there. You see the effect that the big mountains can have on the race, and this is far from the worst that it will get, especially when we look at the Tour de France further down the line. So a bit of a preview of what to expect as we enter the mountainous terrain of the VeloTour. Now on to the general classification. Gösta Petersen, by virtue of the time bonus, is the new race leader ahead of Bjarne Riis by 6 seconds. Stan Ockers in third at 12 seconds, Andy Schleck all the way up to fourth at 29 seconds, and Marco Pantani, who also lost a lot of time in that first time trial, he's now up in 5th place, 103 back. Jan Ulrich, he's down to 9th overall, 2 minutes 20 for the erstwhile leader. Henri Anglade, who was in 2nd, he's in 6th place now. And the riders outside the top 10 surely are out of it now. It's a lot of time to make up. Clearly they weren't as strong as the Big 5 today. Meanwhile, Urs Feuler extending his lead in the points competition. Today's winner Andy Schleck only up in the 6th place, so Feuler has a good margin. We'll see if he can hold on to that. and Rudy Donnan still leading the Mountains jersey competition, but goes to Peterson up in the second, and an early attacker Marshall Guyon up to third. Evian, the new leaders in the team competition. Tomorrow's stage, another mountain top finish, although not a very hard one. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll see you then.